At my daughter's college graduation, my husband declared, "I'm embarking on a new chapter, one that doesn't include you." His girlfriend was seated among our mutual friends, and a hush fell over the room. I smiled and responded, "Well done for being so forthcoming." Before exiting, I handed him an envelope. When he tore it open, he began shouting, "I'm embarking on a new chapter, one that doesn't include you." Those words echoed through the elegant restaurant where we had gathered to honor my daughter's academic milestone. My husband of 28 years, Gregory, stood with his champagne flute still raised, his declaration overshadowing the tribute he was meant to offer to Amelia's success. The clatter of cutlery stopped, conversations froze mid-sentence, and 50 pairs of eyes shifted between Gregory and me, anticipating my reaction, perhaps tears, a heated outburst, or a theatrical departure. Instead, I smiled. "Well done for being so forthcoming," I said. "My name is Bianca Caldwell. I am 54 years old, and until that moment, I had flawlessly embodied the role of the loyal wife and mother." I sidelined my own professional ambitions to bolster Gregory through 3 entrepreneurial ventures, 2 career pivots, and numerous self-discovery phases. I nurtured our extraordinary daughter, Amelia, who sat beside me now, her graduation cap still atop her head, her face etched with shock. From the corner of my eye, I noticed Cassandra Wells, Gregory's much younger girlfriend, squirming uneasily at a table with people I had long considered friends who evidently knew about the affair but never thought to inform me. The same Cassandra who had attended our holiday gatherings, who had once sought my guidance on her career. With deliberate composure, I reached into my purse and retrieved a sealed, ivory envelope. I placed it softly next to Gregory's plate. "What's this?" he asked, his smug expression wavering. "Something for you to review later," I replied, my voice unwavering. I turned to Amelia, whose face had drained of color, and kissed her cheek. "I'm incredibly proud of you, sweetheart. This day is still yours." Then I rose, smoothed my dress, and addressed the stunned guests. "Please, enjoy your meal. I wish you all a wonderful afternoon." With that, I strode out of the restaurant, my posture erect, sensing 50 pairs of eyes tracking my exit. The heavy door closed behind me, muffling the onset of nervous whispers. The oppressive Augusta summer heat enveloped me, but I embraced it. For the first time in years, I felt unburdened. Behind me, the restaurant door swung open and slammed shut, followed by Gregory's voice, no longer self-assured but shrill and panicked. "Bianca, what is this? What have you done?" I continued walking, permitting myself a faint smile. The envelope I'd given him contained the opening move of my retribution, a plan I had carefully orchestrated for months. I had always been the pragmatic one in our marriage. While Gregory chased grand dreams and took bold risks, I provided the foundation our family required. I was the one who saved for Amelia's college fund when Gregory impulsively invested in a friend's doomed restaurant venture. I was the one who worked overtime as a finance manager at Trevant Corp when his midlife crisis prompted him to abandon a steady job to pursue his passion for crafting artisanal furniture, a passion that fizzled out in 6 months. My own aspirations, like launching a financial consultancy for women, were perpetually deferred. After Amelia graduates, I told myself. After Gregory finds his footing. 3 months ago, I detected anomalies in our shared accounts, small transfers to an unfamiliar account. With 20 years of managing our family's finances, these irregularities were glaring. I could have confronted Gregory immediately, but something, perhaps instinct or the growing emotional distance between us, held me back. Instead, I began a discreet investigation. What I uncovered was more devastating than I'd imagined. For over a year, Gregory had been siphoning funds into a secret account. He had been wining and dining Cassandra at upscale restaurants, buying her jewelry, and even scouting beachfront properties, all while insisting we needed to cut back for retirement. Then I found the text messages, discovered when Gregory carelessly left his phone unlocked. Messages about their new life together. Messages about how he was finally breaking free. Messages detailing their plans for the day after Amelia's graduation, the day he intended to stage his dramatic exit from our marriage. What Gregory overlooked, or perhaps never fully appreciated, was that I had been a financial expert for 30 years. I understood how to follow money trails, trace assets, and, crucially, I recalled the prenuptial agreement we signed 28 years ago, when my family's wealth outstripped his. Ironically, Gregory had insisted on the prenup to safeguard his future earnings, but it included a fidelity clause that would now be his downfall. While Gregory schemed with Cassandra, I was assembling my case. I consulted attorneys, documented every clandestine transfer, and gathered proof of their affair. I drafted divorce papers and timed everything meticulously, knowing Gregory would delay his announcement until after Amelia's graduation to avoid marring her moment. What he didn't anticipate was that I would file for divorce that morning, with the papers still concealed in court records, inaccessible to him. Gregory never realized I was always 3 steps ahead. I didn't return to the restaurant. Instead, I drove to our home, a gracious colonial in Augusta's historic district that we bought 15 years ago, the same house Gregory had already promised to Cassandra, according to texts he didn't know I'd seen. I parked in the driveway and entered what had been our shared sanctuary for over a decade. Everything appeared unchanged: the family portraits on the walls, the antique grandfather clock inherited from my father, the weathered leather sofa where Gregory and I once envisioned our future. Yet everything was different. Upstairs, in the master bedroom, I opened the closet. Gregory's clothes were already packed in suitcases, tucked away in the back, ready for his planned departure tomorrow. I smiled at his predictability. He was always fastidious about his wardrobe but negligent about what truly mattered. My phone buzzed relentlessly with messages from friends at the restaurant, from Amelia, and even from Gregory's sister, Diana, who had flown in for the graduation. I replied only to my daughter, "I'm fine. This isn't your burden. Enjoy your day. We'll talk tonight. I love you." For months, I had shielded Amelia from the truth, unwilling to let family turmoil overshadow her final semester. She would be upset that I hadn't confided in her, but I trusted she'd understand in time. Amelia had inherited my pragmatism and her father's charm, a potent blend that had propelled her to graduate with honors. 3 hours later, I heard Gregory's car pull into the driveway. The front door slammed open. "Bianca," he bellowed, his voice reverberating through the house. "Where are you?" I was in the living room, calmly reviewing documents on my laptop. I closed it as he stormed in, his face red with fury, the envelope clutched in his hand. "What is the meaning of this?" he demanded, brandishing the papers. "You filed for divorce today, of all days?" "I thought it complimented your plans," I replied evenly. "You wanted to begin anew." "I'm merely assisting with the transition." "You had no right to." "I had every right," I cut in, my tone steady. "Just as you had the right to choose Cassandra. We all make choices, Gregory." "The prenup expired years ago," he said, his voice suddenly smug. "Any lawyer will confirm that." I permitted myself a small smile. "Actually, it didn't. Section 12 clearly states the fidelity clause remains active for the duration of the marriage. Your lawyer should have clarified that." "Oh, wait, you didn't consult one, did you?" The color drained from his face as the truth hit him. The prenup he had demanded to protect his potential wealth would now strip him of nearly everything: the house, the Savannah vacation property, his share of our retirement accounts. His grandiose announcement at the restaurant had just become the costliest moment of his life. "You can't do this to me," Gregory said, slumping onto the couch. "We built this life together, and you chose to dismantle it," I replied. "Just not in the way you intended." His phone buzzed incessantly in his pocket. He glanced at it, then ignored it. Cassandra, no doubt, wondering why he wasn't adhering to their meticulously planned script. "You've always been calculating, Bianca, but this is ruthless," he said, trying a new tactic. "What about our history? 28 years together means nothing?" I studied him, this man I had loved for nearly 3 decades, who had held my hand through 2 miscarriages before Amelia's birth, who had once surprised me with a weekend getaway to Charleston for our 10th anniversary. When had he changed? Or had he always been this way, and I'd been too devoted to see it? Our history meant everything to me, I answered honestly. That's why your betrayal cut so deeply. His expression softened briefly, perhaps sensing an opportunity. Then maybe we can salvage this. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake, Gregory. This was a deliberate plan, executed over a year. You siphoned our money, scouted property with her, and planned to publicly humiliate me. His face hardened again. You're blowing this out of proportion. Am I? I picked up my phone, opened the recording app, and played his voice. After the graduation, I'll tell her it's over. A public setting is better, she won't cause a scene in front of everyone. Then Cassandra's voice, and she has no idea about the money? Gregory again, none. Bianca trusts me completely. That's her weakness. The blood drained from his face. You recorded us? That's illegal. Not in Georgia, when one party consents, I replied. And not in our own home. I didn't record your private moments with Cassandra, I'm not cruel. Just the discussions about defrauding me. Gregory stood, agitated. I need to make some calls. Of course, I said. Your attorney might be a good starting point. I'll be staying at Diana's tonight. Diana's? He sputtered. My sister's house? I nodded. She's quite upset with you, actually. She was the first to spot you with Cassandra last Christmas. She didn't tell me right away, she confronted you first. You promised it was nothing, that you'd end it. When she realized you hadn't, she came to me. This was another blow he hadn't foreseen. Diana and I had always been close, but Gregory never imagined his sister would side with me. Everyone's betraying me, he muttered. Ironic, isn't it? I gathered my purse and a small overnight bag I'd packed earlier. You have until tomorrow evening to remove your belongings. After that, the locks will be changed. As I headed for the door, Gregory called after me, desperation in his voice. What about Amelia? Have you considered how this affects her? I paused, anger finally piercing my calm. Don't you dare use our daughter as a shield, Gregory. You weren't thinking of her when you were planning your beachfront life with Cassandra. His phone buzzed again. He looked at it and groaned. Problem? I asked. Cassandra's already at the apartment. She's moved her things in. I couldn't suppress a smile. The apartment you put in both your names? The lease you signed last month? He nodded, confused. You might want to check with the leasing office. That application was flagged for credit issues and never finalized. The agent called our home phone to verify details. I handled it myself. I walked out, leaving Gregory to confront the first of many consequences. His carefully constructed new life was unraveling faster than he could comprehend. Diana lived in a cozy bungalow across town, near the university where she taught literature. When I arrived, she enveloped me in a tight hug. I just heard from Amelia, she said, pulling me inside. Are you okay? Better than I expected, I admitted, following her to the kitchen, where a bottle of wine was already open. I never thought Gregory would make such a public spectacle, Diana said, pouring 2 glasses. In the restaurant, in front of everyone. He's lost his mind. It was meant to humiliate me, I explained, accepting a glass. A public rejection so I couldn't fight back without seeming unhinged. Diana's face darkened. My brother always had a flair for drama, but this is beyond anything I expected. We settled in her sunroom, surrounded by potted plants and bookshelves. Diana had never married, Cher preferring her independence and scholarly pursuits. Over the years, I had occasionally envied her freedom. What was in that envelope that upset him so much, she asked. I detailed the contents, the divorce filing, evidence of his financial deceit, and, most critically, the prenuptial agreement that would leave him with far less than he anticipated. The prenup, Diana said, amused. I remember when he insisted on it. Father had just given him money for his first business, and he was obsessed with protecting it. She laughed wryly. The irony is exquisite. My phone rang. Amelia, I said, taking a deep breath before answering. Mom, she said, her voice strained. I'm coming to Aunt Diana's. Honey, you don't have to, I'm already on my way, she interrupted. Dad's telling everyone you've lost your mind, that you've been scheming for months. He's saying awful things. Of course he was. Gregory always rewrote the narrative to paint himself as the victim. Let him talk, I said. The truth will come out soon enough. 20 minutes later, Amelia arrived, still in her graduation dress, her makeup smudged from tears. She fell into my arms, as she had as a child after a bad dream. Why didn't you tell me? She asked, her voice muffled against my shoulder. I didn't want to ruin your final semester, I explained. You worked so hard for this day. She pulled back, wiping her eyes. Well, Dad ruined it anyway. We moved to Diana's living room, where I shared the full story, how I uncovered the affair, the financial betrayals, and the plans Gregory and Cassandra had made. I knew something was off with Dad, Amelia admitted. He's been distant, always on his phone. But I never imagined this. None of us want to see betrayal in those we love, Diana said gently. My phone buzzed with a text from my attorney, Philip Anderson. The emergency filing had been approved, and the accounts I'd flagged were frozen pending the divorce proceedings. Gregory now had limited access to funds, enough for basic expenses, but not enough to pursue the property purchases he'd planned with Cassandra. I showed the message to Diana and Amelia. Good, Amelia said firmly. He deserves it. My daughter's loyalty warmed me, but I remained pragmatic. He's still your father, I reminded her. Your relationship with him is separate from what's happening between us. Amelia shook her head. Maybe someday, but right now, I can't even look at him. He hugged me this morning, said he was proud, all while planning to destroy our family hours later. The doorbell rang, interrupting our conversation. Diana went to answer it, returning with a troubled expression. It's Gregory, she said. And he's not alone. I braced myself as Diana ushered Gregory and Cassandra into the living room. Cassandra looked uneasy, shifting her weight, her eyes scanning the room. At 37, she wasn't exactly a trophy wife, but 17 years my junior, with shoulder-length blonde hair and the confidence of someone untested by true adversity. Gregory, by contrast, was livid, his earlier desperation now hardened into anger. Bianca, you need to stop this madness, he demanded. Unfreeze the accounts. We can discuss this like civilized people. Amelia stood, positioning herself slightly in front of me. Maybe you should have tried being civilized before announcing to everyone that you were leaving Mom. Gregory's eyes widened, as if just noticing our daughter. Amelia, this doesn't concern you. Doesn't concern me, she echoed, incredulous. You blew up our family on my graduation day, and it doesn't concern me? Cassandra touched Gregory's arm. Greg, maybe we should go. He shook her off. No, I'm not leaving until Bianca agrees to be reasonable. Diana crossed her arms. My sister-in-law seems to be the only reasonable person here. You're the one who created this mess, Gregory. I remained seated, observing the unfolding drama. For years, I had been the mediator, smoothing conflicts and keeping everyone content. That role had exhausted me, and I had finally relinquished it. The accounts will stay frozen until the preliminary hearing, I said calmly. That's in 3 days. The judge will decide on asset division then. 3 days? Gregory sputtered. What am I supposed to do for 3 days? You have your personal account, I reminded him. The one you've been diverting money into for the past year. That should suffice. Cassandra's head snapped toward Gregory. You have a separate account? With how much in it? An intriguing dynamic was emerging. Clearly, Gregory hadn't been entirely transparent with Cassandra either. He ignored her question. This is spiteful, Bianca. This isn't you. Perhaps you never truly knew me, I replied. Just as I apparently never knew you. Amelia turned to Cassandra. Did you know he was going to announce it like that, at my graduation celebration? Cassandra looked ashamed. I thought he was going to speak to your mother privately. The announcement today was unexpected. Gregory shot her a betrayed glance, cracks already forming in their alliance. I think you both should leave, Diana said firmly. You've upset Amelia enough for one day. Amelia, Gregory pleaded, you understand that relationships evolve, don't you? Sometimes people drift apart. My daughter's face hardened in a way I'd never seen. What I understand is that you're a coward who couldn't give Mom the respect of a private conversation. What I understand is that you were stealing from our family while I worked 2 jobs to afford my textbooks because you said money was tight. Gregory paled. That's not how it was. It's exactly how it was, Amelia snapped. Please leave, Dad. I can't look at you right now. The silence was deafening. Finally, Gregory turned to go, Cassandra trailing behind. At the door, he paused and looked back at me. This isn't over, Bianca. I'll fight you on this. I met his gaze steadily. You're welcome to try. After they left, Amelia collapsed beside me on the sofa, tears streaming down her face. I'd never spoken to Dad like that. I wrapped an arm around her. Sometimes standing up for what's right is painful. Diana brought fresh glasses of wine. To new beginnings, she said, raising her glass. Indeed, I thought. This ending was merely the start of something new. The preliminary hearing took place in a modest courtroom on a rainy Tuesday morning. I arrived with my attorney, Philip, while Gregory was accompanied by a lawyer he'd hastily hired, a young associate from a firm specializing in corporate law, not family matters. Gregory's poor choice of counsel was yet another consequence of his rushed planning. The judge, an older woman with keen eyes and little tolerance for theatrics, scrutinized the prenuptial agreement. This document appears valid, she said, peering over her glasses at Gregory's attorney. Do you dispute its enforceability? The young lawyer cleared his throat. Your Honor, we believe the agreement expired due to the passage of time. Section 18 clearly states the duration is for the term of the marriage, plus any legal proceedings arising from its dissolution, the judge read aloud. There is no expiration date specified. Gregory leaned forward, whispering urgently to his lawyer, who looked increasingly uneasy. Furthermore, the judge continued, the evidence of systematic fund transfers appears to violate the financial disclosure requirements in Section 23. She reviewed the documents, then looked up. I am ruling to maintain the freeze on joint accounts pending full financial discovery. Mr. Caldwell's personal account will remain accessible to him. The family home will remain in Mrs. Caldwell's possession during proceedings, as stipulated in the prenuptial agreement's infidelity clause. Gregory's face turned crimson. This is outrageous, he muttered, loud enough for me to hear. The judge fixed him with a stern look. Mr. Caldwell, I suggest you review the agreement you signed more carefully. This court will reconvene in 30 days for the full hearing after discovery is complete. As we left the courtroom, Gregory caught up to me in the hallway. Bianca, please, we need to talk reasonably. 28 years together has to mean something. It meant everything, I replied, until you decided it didn't. I walked away, leaving him alone in the courthouse corridor, the weight of his choices finally settling in. Word spread quickly through our social circle. Friends called daily, some offering support, others fishing for gossip. I maintained a dignified silence, simply stating, Gregory and I are separating. These things happen. Meanwhile, Gregory's carefully curated image, successful businessman, devoted family man, was irreparably damaged. The financial freeze prevented him from fulfilling promises to Cassandra. The beachfront property they planned to buy fell through, and the luxury car he put a deposit on was cancelled. 2 weeks after the hearing, Diana called, her voice tinged with amusement. Have you heard? Cassandra moved out already. I wasn't entirely surprised, but the speed was impressive. Apparently, she learned Gregory's business isn't as thriving as he claimed, and the substantial savings he boasted about don't exist. She told her friend Jennifer she didn't sign up to date a man with financial troubles. I couldn't help but laugh. Gregory had always been skilled at crafting illusions. Meanwhile, I was rebuilding. The financial security I'd maintained separate from our joint accounts gave me freedom Gregory hadn't anticipated. I leased a small office downtown and began establishing the consultancy I dreamed of for years. My first clients were two women navigating divorces. Word of mouth brought more. I specialized in helping women understand their finances during major life transitions, divorces, widowhood, career shifts. The work was instantly rewarding in a way my corporate job never had been. Amelia, who had taken a marketing job in Charleston, called regularly. "I'm so proud of you, Mom," she said after I described my growing client list. "You're helping people through their darkest moments." "I'm just doing what I wish someone had done for me earlier," I replied. Preparing women for whatever comes. Being valued for my expertise, rather than my caregiving, was a new and empowering experience. The final divorce hearing coincided with what would have been our 29th anniversary, a poetic close to a nearly 3-decade chapter. Gregory arrived looking weary. I later learned his business was faltering without my financial support and guidance. Cassandra was long gone, now dating a real estate developer from Savannah. Most of our mutual friends had distanced themselves from him after learning the full extent of his deceit. The judge upheld the prenuptial agreement in its entirety. Gregory left with his personal belongings, his struggling business, and the funds in his private account, which, after legal fees, were barely enough for a modest apartment. I retained our home, my retirement accounts, and 70% of our joint investments, exactly as the prenup stipulated in cases of infidelity. The justice was poetic. The document Gregory had demanded to protect himself had become his undoing. As we left the courtroom, Gregory approached me one last time. "I made a terrible mistake," he said quietly. "Is there any chance we could—" "No," I interrupted, gentle but firm. "That door is closed." "I understand," he said, and for once, I believed he did. "I hope you find happiness, Bianca. You deserve it." It was perhaps the first honest thing he'd said to me in years. 6 months later, my consultancy, Caldwell Financial Transitions, was flourishing. I had moved to a larger office and hired 2 associates. I focused on empowering women to secure their financial futures, especially during significant life changes. Amelia visited often, proud of what I'd built. "You know what's ironic?" she said during one visit. "If Dad had just been honest from the start, he might have kept half of everything." "Sometimes people can't see past their immediate desires," I replied. The woman who had once defined herself as Gregory's wife and Amelia's mother had forged a new identity: mentor, entrepreneur, advocate. The envelope I'd handed Gregory at the restaurant wasn't just my exit strategy, it was the key to a door I hadn't known existed. Beyond it, I found not only retribution but reinvention. In securing my financial future, I had reclaimed something far more precious: myself.